We are back, and we are joined now by Vinnie Perrone, President and Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 804. Vinnie, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Emma. Thanks for having me.
So just give us a sense of the scope of this tentative agreement that is actually being voted on next week, I believe, the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The final tally will be on the 22nd, yes.
Final tally. Gotcha. So this deal with UPS, how many UPS Teamsters will this benefit? And what would a strike have looked like had UPS not made concessions? And now I know that, it still needs to be agreed upon in principle, but if you could just give our audience a sense of how historic and massive this is.
It is a massive tentative agreement. It covers 340,000 Teamsters. And when you said UPS made concessions, I almost got confused, because usually it's been the other way around with the Teamsters making concessions, but not this time. So, it covers 340,000 people. And I believe that it's going to help all 340,000 people with the pay increases, the general wage increases. We're still going to have COLA increases because, if the inflation is up, our members across the board, from our part-timers to full-timers, are going to benefit with AC in the trucks, Martin Luther King Day as a holiday, stuff that we've never had before. And it was always pipe dreams, So I know that some people might not be happy, but I mean, enhanced language on subcontracting, autonomous vehicles and driver-facing cameras and drones not being allowed. Language referencing like what just happened with the pandemic, where the company went to individual locals across the country and tried to make side deals with them. That's not going to happen anymore. They have to go through the IBT package division. The creation of 7,500 full-time jobs from part-time jobs, giving our part-timers the opportunity to fill 22,000 vacancies across the country. I think it's a win-win across the board. There's been improvements everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and just to give people a sense of the scope, I was reading this in Labor Notes, which is just this, a great publication, that it's just much bigger than the last increase, because it's at least $750 over the 5-year period of the contract. And there, for example, in 1997, it was a 50-cent equivalent to 95 cents today, according to Labor Notes, increase over 5 years. So that is a substantial increase in the tiers of pay over the length of the contract.
Correct. It's substantial. I was a UPS package car driver for 25 years. I joke around that I still know how to use the little device that they scan packages with, the Dyad. So I'm not too far off the truck, as they say. And in 30 years now, I've never seen a contract like this. So, just the elimination, because we were talking about concessions before, the elimination of that second tier 22.4 job, which was basically a driving job that they were paying $6 an hour less for. I mean, nobody realistically thought that we would be able to get rid of that position, because once these companies like UPS latch on to something, very difficult to let it go.
Can you expand on that second tier practice? Because it basically appears like, you have the first tier of drivers, and then there was a second tier of workers who, they stated, oh, well, they'll drive sometimes, they'll be paid less, but they'll do other things. And in the end, it seemed like they were just doing the same job, but for less pay.
Correct. And that was something that was given away 5 years ago. I still don't know the reason for it. I wasn't involved in national negotiations then. So it was to basically give the company more flexibility so they could utilize these people, these members, as people loading the trucks and offloading the trucks if they had to, and working on weekends as package car drivers. But that was, companies like UPS, they want these agreements signed, they want to make these deals, and then they go and start violating these agreements before the ink is even dry. So in my local alone, I represent 8,000 members at UPS. We got an influx of 700 and something 22 fours. And, it's great. People want the job. It all happened during the pandemic. The jobs were out there. People wanted to work. And then it sinks in after a while that I'm doing the exact same thing that the guy or girl next to me is doing, and I'm getting paid a lot less an hour to do it. So that wasn't fair. It wasn't a good bargain for the Teamsters, so thank God that that's eliminated.
Yeah, right, exactly. And can you also touch on the sixth workday part, which also is this awesome concession that UPS gave, because that goes hand in hand really with that second tier of driver system.
Yes, and in New York City, where my local is, we were not required to come in on our sixth day. All right, so we had that language in our local supplement. But in traveling across the country, especially the Northeast, every place I went to, campaigning, etc., members would see this beautiful Teamster logo on my shirt, and they would start complaining about, why are we being forced in on a sixth day? And, a company like UPS, they'd rather make people work more overtime than hire more people and pay
Right.
the pension benefits and the health and welfare benefits. So that was something that, it flustered me, and I didn't have an answer for it, but because it was in other parts of the majority of the country. So that was eliminated also. And, just the fact that you can have a better quality of life and spend more time with your family and actually have a weekend without having to get stressed out that you come back on Monday and they're going to try to put you on a notice of discipline or discharge. That's a tremendous advantage for our members also.
And that's what creates that 7,500 extra jobs, because now they don't have to, or well, part of it, but now UPS isn't going to spread all of the existing workforce so thin because of the fact that they eliminated the forced sixth workday. And it goes into the fact that, like, these companies aren't technically job creators. They employ as many people as they can to make sure that their bottom line is still as profitable for the executives as possible. And without a robust labor movement to advocate and robust unions to advocate for worker protections, they're going to continue to spread their workforce so thin without having to hire additional people until, again, you guys flex your muscle and say enough is enough.
Correct. And, that comes also with the part-time pay that was extremely low, that's now being raised. And, they still pay these market rate adjustments across the country, but our members that are affected by these market rate adjustments, they're going to get the general wage increases too, right? So our whole goal is to bring up the standard of living for working class people.
Can you explain the market rate adjustment piece to our audience, if you don't mind?
Sure. That's a really cute thing that UPS uses. They will never use a market rate adjustment in New York City, for example, because they have blatantly told me, we don't care. 20 people will quit, we'll hire 50 more, and hopefully 20 of those will stick. So in these outlying areas, or like even like labor is not available, so they will drive up the minimum that they pay for members, for their employees, like well over the contractual wage. So it'll happen in places where the population is very thin, or they can't get people to work on a specific shift in the middle of the day, paying what they were paying, $16 and change an hour. In some states, it was even lower. So those market rate adjustments, they're still there, but our members will get the general wage increases, even though they might be making more than the contractual requirement.
You mentioned some of the surveillance that was eliminated in these negotiations of the drivers and the workers. Can you explain why that was a priority for you all in your negotiations, and what kind of effect that has on the workforce with the drones and I guess the drones are for delivery or something, but
Yes.
but the surveillance as well as like the anti-labor technology that some of these companies, including UPS, are trying to employ.
Well, we started seeing these driver-facing cameras about a year ago, maybe a little more, in New York, and they started popping up in other parts of the country. So it's driver-facing cameras with sensors. So now you're being monitored all day long. The job is dangerous enough. Okay, they're listening in, or they had the potential to listen in on phone calls you might be having with your family, on conversations you might be having with your union representatives, and that's not the way to live. That's not the way to work. And thankfully, Sean O'Brien heard it. The General Executive Board heard it. The bargaining committee heard it. And that was one of the first things that we went after, was the driver-facing cameras. And they're not supposed to be there. They're not going to be there anymore. And I will tell you that a lot of other places that I've seen, other shops, other companies, they've been using this for many, many years already. So again, once it's established for 10 years at least, then for a union to get that back is a really tremendous thing.
Yeah, because I mean, we've had interviews on this program about truckers who are experiencing some of the effects of this monitoring technology on, their attentiveness on the road, and a lot of those trucking companies are trying to circumvent unions to the best of their ability. So, like, again, just to give people a sense of the scope of this agreement, it's, as you say, 340,000 UPS Teamsters nationwide. That is more than the tally of 323,000 U.S. workers who have gone on strike so far this year in this like incredible labor summer. So this affects just so many people. I wanted to also touch on the air conditioning in the trucks that was negotiated as well. I think that was one of the first concessions, if I recall. But if you could just explain what some of the conditions were like for the drivers that led them to demand this.
Well, the company, Carol Tomei herself, has said that we understand the earth is getting hotter, temperatures are going up. So we're going to give you fans and cooling sleeves that you can soak in water, in Arizona, and stay cool in 116-degree temperature. So air conditioning has been, we've been beating the drum over AC. Look, a UPS truck is not going to be like a Mercedes or a BMW or my personal car, where I keep it at 65 degrees because I just hate the heat. But,
I hear you.
if you cool the temperatures off even a little bit, it's going to help some people out. I myself have been taken to the hospital and had to go to doctors when I was on a package car for heat exhaustion. And, you're working out there in the heat, you don't even realize it. And you get sort of, indoctrinated into it that this is what you're supposed to do. But, just the fact that we had to argue and negotiate that they have to treat their employees, our members, like human beings, tells the story of what this company is all about. Right. So we fought them tooth and nail over it. And we got a commitment for the next 5 years, 28,000 package cars out of whatever the number is, 90,000 that they have. And you know what? In 5 years from now, they might be going to an all-electric fleet. Yeah. And everything might have air conditioning already. The thing we have to focus on now is getting better ventilation in the buildings, because they're just as bad as the package cars.
I'm curious what you think about the significance of what the pandemic did to boost solidarity among the workforce. And, in your time with the Teamsters, what do you compare that to? I mean, comparing it to 2008, for example, and the financial collapse, like what did you observe as motivating some of the solidarity that you saw?
Well, the pandemic, I saw my members and members across the country being really scared. That's what I saw. I saw a company that did not care about their employees. We, as a union, my local, and I'm sure other locals across the country, when we heard that this was actually going to be declared a pandemic, we went and bought ourselves gloves and masks, and people were already running out of it, right? So our members were worried. Our members were sick because of this. Some members died because of this pandemic. And, the company made a windfall over it. They did not give hazard pay to our members. They said, you have a contract. It's not in your contract. I heard, and, I'm going to put this out there because I have no problem putting this out there. When I was arguing with this company about the effects of this pandemic and that they should have more concern about their employees' safety, I was told when this thing got full blown that, oh no, the public is going to see what UPS can really do now. And I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this show, but
Go ahead.
I told the district person, I said, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? Yeah. I have people in a hospital because of this. Right? And all they kept talking about was what this could do for the company to show
PR victory.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's just infuriating. Yeah.
It brought people together, but there's a lot of talk, and I wanted to mention this too. There's a lot of talk about we should have gone on strike. We should have done this, right? We could have gotten more. The general public doesn't know this. The harassment that UPS puts our members through, you can't compare it to anything. I have people that wanted to strike just for the sake of the hatred that they have for this company. Okay, and that's got to be put out there because the harassment, it continues to be through the roof.
Yeah. And what does it feel like for you as a leader for your union, right? In this time where people are so angry, as a president and a principal officer, it must. How long have you held this position?
4.5 years.
So, I mean, at this time of labor empowerment, does it make you? Does it embolden you? Does it energize you? I mean, what was the feeling like being able to represent your members like this in the time of justified and righteous anger against this company?
It's a tremendous feeling. My local's a very militant local. Local 804 has always been militant and at the forefront. We have that reputation. We're more focused now, and as we speak right now, I just took a break because we're in the middle of an arbitration that I'm very confident we're going to win. So it was very satisfying to see our membership come together, right? And it's very satisfying. I mean, like from the beginning of these negotiations, Sean O'Brien, Fred Zuckerman, they put it all out there. They said, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan of attack. We're going to hit the media. We're going to hit the gates at buildings. We're going to have practice pickets. We're going to build unity. We're going to build solidarity. We're going to show this company, because this company never thought in 97, they didn't think it, and certainly not now after 25 years of concessionary contracts, that members could come together as a force. And I know that when they saw these practice pickets out there, and when they saw everything that was going on, and the general president on everything from Good Morning America to CNN and Fox News, talking about what our members go through and what we need, that they were not happy with it. The only thing they could come up with were little blurbs about what a great company they are and how a part-time supervisor position is a great thing to do. So the solidarity has been tremendous, and bringing our people together has been really satisfying.
Lastly, Amazon, are they up next?
Sure. And, we would love Amazon to be Teamsters, but how else are you going to do it unless you prove to this huge workforce also that collective bargaining is the way to go, that you can get pensions, health and welfare benefits, especially from a company like Amazon that has, look, the guy Bezos he put himself into space, right? So he's wasting money on rocket ships and not giving his employees good health care. So getting this tentative agreement, hopefully it's going to fuel the fire for Amazon workers. We have them coming to our union meetings right now, and they're very happy to be there and to, see what being in a union is all about. And we're going to build the momentum as a union, as the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, and we're going to show people that contracts are good for people. Good contracts are good for people.
Well, Vinnie Perrone, President, Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 804, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Emma, thank you so much, and I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks. You too.